What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to do a small little review of the Xiaomi A1, which was released back a month, I guess on September 5th, and one of my friends actually got it on the September 7th. Just a Xiaomi fan like me. I own a Redmi Note 4 and a Redmi Note 3. So in this review I'm going to gather his thoughts on how he feels as he's using this phone for at least a month. Like today is September 25th, almost a month with the phone, and from the hardware perspective I'm going to compare it with the Redmi Note 4 as they are both identical. Bunch of you guys asked me, is it just a Redmi Note 4 with another camera? Well, it is not, and we are going to actually check that. And for the camera comparison, I would be comparing with my iPhone 7 Plus, because that's the only phone that I have with a dual lens camera, and why not? So as you can see, on the left hand I have a Xiaomi A1, and on the right I have a Redmi Note 4. The form factor of the Xiaomi A1 is a bit larger. As you can see, it has a big forehead and a chin. The Redmi Note 4 feels a lot smaller in your hand, and actually I quite like the Xiaomi A1's design. I'm not quite digging the huge chins of the phone. At the back it looks like a OnePlus 5 or the Oppo R11 or the iPhone 7 Plus, and also I have both of them in matte black. The color of the Redmi Note 4 is much darker. You can't actually notice it through the camera. The backing of the Redmi Note 4 is actually sticky, so the phone is quite grippy, but I'm quite afraid to hold it, as this is not my phone, but this actually kind of slips. The Xiaomi A1 is actually very slim and slippery phone, to be honest, but as you can see there are the two cameras, the dual tone flash. We have speakers on the bottom of the Redmi Note 4 and a micro USB, but on the Xiaomi A1 you do get a Type-C. Also you do get two screws to open the phone easily, and you get a headphone jack. On the top you get the headphone jack for the Redmi Note 4, and you also have air blasters on both of the phones. In terms of screen, you can't actually see through the camera, but screen of the Redmi Note 4 is actually quite dark and the colors are a little punchy. I'm not quite actually liking a Xiaomi A1 screen. The touch screen of this phone is quite laggy. It's same as the Redmi Note 3. If you have a Redmi Note 4 and this phone in hand, do check out the smoothness of the screen. Now let's just get to the performance. Let's just fire it and to the benchmark. The Redmi Note 4 is quite faster. Also, my Redmi Note 4 is 3 gigs of RAM, whereas the A1 is a 4 gig RAM version. If you talk about the battery life, I talked to the owner that he told me with the Geo SIM, it kind of gives like more than 8 hours of screen on time if you don't do any kind of gaming or heavy stuff. It doesn't use its phones constantly, like making it hot and still using and doing your work. So if you have that kind of pattern, you can easily get more than 8 hours of screen on time on this phone. It's amazing for this price point. I've been charged this thing like 50, and now it's at 26%, like just 2.5 hours, which is quite great, because I've been doing heavy stuff such as installing apps, gaming, and the camera testing. Day-to-day usage, you will not feel any kind of lag, but many of you guys told me that your Xiaomi A1 just lags a bit due to poor optimizations of the stock Android. Well, that is not the case. The hardware inside is extremely similar as the Redmi Note 4, and also the Redmi Note 4 has the stutters where you guys asked me, such as on the high setting of asphalted, even in the Temple Run, the latest patch. Now in my any other review I would be talking just 10 minutes on the softer experience. Well, you don't get anything over here. It's the Android One, but the advantage of getting Android One, 2 years of Android upgrades, whereas if you buy a Redmi Note 4, it was on Marshmallow, then you get updated to the Android Nougat. From the MIUI 8, it is the MIUI 9. Now you will also get the MIUI 10 upgrade, but it will be still on the Android Nougat. It wouldn't be Oreo. With this phone, it doesn't run on MIUI, but right now it's running Android 7.1 Nougat. It would be getting an upgrade to the Oreo and the Android 9. And let's just get to the main part, the camera. Two 12 megapixel cameras, which is great. Actually, Xiaomi messed it up over here. They provided a stock MIUI camera. Now, if you're not into modding, this actually means for us that we can use this MIUI camera on any kind of Android device. But as you can see, the UI is quite simple. You get the dual camera watermark over here, same as the OnePlus 5. Then you have panorama, timer. Yep, the timer is not just a normal feature, it's the mode over here. Then you get audio, manual camera, straighten. Straighten is quite good if you want perfect pictures, but I would just suggest to use Snapseed. Then you get beautify, group selfies. Group selfies is not like a wide angle selfie. It takes multiple shots, and if anyone moves, it will just delete that one and preserve the good one. 1:1 square and the HHD. Going into the settings, you have camera sounds, add stamp on the photos, then enhance low light photos automatically. Well, this is actually a great feature where it actually drops down the contrast and boosts the sharpness and the shadows a bit. You get camera frame picture quality. Then you have face detection, which actually tells your gender, which is good, but it's kind of hit or miss most of the time. It shows me that I'm a 23-year-old, but I'm 16. Then you have the contrast, saturation, and the sharpness level over here too. Quite great options, to be honest. Switching to the video, well, there is no way to switch over here to second lens. Once you zoom in, it actually switches. Going to the options, you get the time lapse and the slow motion, function which are not provided on the Redmi Note 4. You have the focus mode, which would be the CAF and the tap. Now CAF actually works pretty great, and in terms of video quality, out of the box you are getting 4K recording. Yup, no phone out of the box actually provides this feature in this price point. Yup, Redmi Note 3 and Note 4 actually support 4K recording, but you have to fiddle around with some stuff. But over here, just you are presented with it. Now here is one sample which I recorded with the 4K, and there is ample amount of detail that you can actually compare it with some of the flagship competitors such as OnePlus 5 and others. Also the CAF system works pretty great. Manual camera is actually the full one over here. On the Redmi Note 4 you only get the exposure and the white balance. Over here you have white balance, focus, exposure, time, ISO. Then you also can select between the telephoto and the wide angle lens. Sorry for the bad lighting. Kinda getting rainy. Well, this image actually explains what I'm saying. On the left is the A1, on the right is the Note 4. Colors are extremely dull on the A1. So now we are going to take a look at the camera samples. For this round we would be comparing it with my iPhone 7 Plus. Well, on the left will be the A1 and on the right would be the iPhone 7 Plus. As you can see in this shot, the Xiaomi A1 completely nailed it. Like, this is the best phone that you can buy for portrait modes. As I also use the Note 8, it is not actually quite good. The Note 8 is kind of similar to the iPhone 7 Plus, but if I just zoom in into the picture, you can see each and every single edge has perfect blur by the Xiaomi, whereas on the iPhone it's just kinda all over the way. Also in the middle, the iPhone 7 Plus didn't add the blur at all. Now in this image the flower was actually extremely close to me, but Xiaomi A1 did an amazing job, whereas on the iPhone 7 Plus I got this message: you can't actually take portraits if the object is quite close, but the A1 actually tries and does a pretty good job. In this image, I don't know, the branch is just floating on the iPhone 7 Plus, but A1 again nailed it. It's just so amazing that 15,000 rupee phone can do this. Again in this photo, my bike is quite far from me, far than 2.5 meters, which is actually same amount of distance that you can apply for both of the phones, but A1 actually was able to capture the picture, whereas on iPhone it started giving the message again. Xiaomi has done a fabulous job over here. But here are some more samples with the rear camera. All of these shots are taken with HDR on. I really like how it handles the bright colors such as the yellow and red. Like, look at this same shot on the iPhone 7 Plus. But yeah, I'm just extremely impressed with this camera. Like, even in this shot, I'm holding the camera extremely close to the telephoto lens, but still it manages to do a pretty good job. Now the front camera is also quite good. It has ample amount of detail. Recording videos with the front camera is quite laggy, so if you are trying to vlog with this camera, not the best choice. But if you talk about the telephoto lens, it's telephoto actually, but there is no detail at all. In this picture, as you can see, I am trying to get a shot of my coconuts, extremely blurry. There is no detail at all, whereas on the iPhone 7 Plus it works. Also when you capture videos, if you just zoom in full 10x, it would be just boxes, extremely blurred. Now if you ask me, Dewang, is it only for portraits? No, you can actually zoom in 2x without losing any kind of image quality, but just don't zoom in any further than that. In this price point you can only get that. My final verdict for this amazing phone would be, if you ever dreamt of buying a OnePlus 5 and if you have half budget of it, buy this phone. If you have a dream of buying a pocket DSLR, actually the best pocket DSLR, forget the flagships, forget the iPhone 8, X, Note 8 or the another phones, this is the best. I have used many phones with the portrait mode and you can see by the samples. I don't know how, but Xiaomi just nailed it with the stitching of it. Also in terms of performance, it's quite adequate. Like 61K in Antutu benchmark, you can't even achieve that with like J7 Pro or any kind of phone in that price of 20,000 rupees. If you have budget, you can buy OnePlus 2, Zoom Z2 Plus, but those are like literally performance phones. If you want a good camera and a pretty good build quality, something new, this is the choice that you can buy. And yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Quick shout out to Tarang Mobile Collection. If you live in Alibag, please check out their store and see you in the next one. Peace.